I'm Christoph Heuermann from Denationalize.me with a second video on Paraguay. And the key question, can foreign companies, especially US LLCs, be used tax-free in Paraguay? Because apparently some people are stirring up fears that this is not the case. It is simple to summarize. First, you have to ask yourself, are you even liable to pay taxes in Paraguay? Tax liability in Paraguay is not dependent on your residency permit. You do not become tax liable just because you have temporary or permanent residency. And unlike Germany, an apartment does not trigger a tax liability. In Paraguay it's just about your length of stay. If we are in Paraguay for more than 120 days a year, we are tax liable. If we are there for less than 120 days a year, we are not tax liable. This is a very strange threshold that almost no other country in the world has. Some have 3 months and most have 6 months. Paraguay has 4 months. That means if we are not tax liable in Paraguay, then we are basically perpetual travelers with a compliance residency and can act as we please. If we are actually residing in Paraguay, then we have the territorial taxation there. Changes occurred in 2018. Until 2018, Paraguay was tax-free on foreign income at both the corporate and private levels. That changed in 2018. Initially the changes weren't clear. Back then we wrote an article. In the end, it became clear that territorial taxation would only be abolished at the company level, not at the private level. That means Paraguay companies pay 10% tax on global income. This also applies to freelancers in Paraguay with foreign income. However, if you have a foreign company in Paraguay and receive personal income, a salary or a dividend from this company, this is private foreign income and therefore still tax-free. Paraguay has no foreign effective corporate governance rules. These are foreign tax acts like in Germany and many other countries, which state that a company is subject to tax wherever the management is or where the value creation takes place. Not the case in Paraguay. Until recently, Paraguay didn't even have a law against tax evasion. In Paraguay there are many laws that don't exist. Taxes are very low at 10%. But anyway, we can easily become a tax resident in Paraguay without actually being taxed by Paraguay. If we want to be on the safe side, we can set up operations in a foreign company, also with an employee, to show that the value creation does not take place in Paraguay. But even if we don't have that, if we just have a shell company like a US LLC, we can have this set up in Paraguay. Assuming we are now subject to tax in Paraguay, live there permanently, and have a tax number. What happens? Do we even have to declare this income? Well, we can, of course, file a tax return. We can also declare this income from the foreign company in Paraguay. But we don't necessarily have to transfer it to a Paraguayan account. Many people assume that the money must flow into a Paraguay account, but that's not true. Living in Paraguay, we can have accounts anywhere in the world. Personally, I am not a fan of Paraguay banks, which are relatively bureaucratic and complicated. It makes a lot more sense for you to either live directly off of your LLC's business account. Simply withdraw money from your business account in Paraguay with your Visa, MasterCard, or pay with it. Or if you absolutely need a private account, use one from Germany or other countries that have a more stable and pleasant banking system than Paraguay, which is very bureaucratic and requires a lot of documentation, etc. The people who say that an LLC with Paraguay doesn't work are correct in that it doesn't make sense to transfer the money to Paraguay. Because then the banks ask a lot of questions, which may trigger accounting requirements, making the LLC obsolete. But that's not necessary. You can also pay out the money first to a German private account, for example, and then send the money from this German private account to Paraguay, from private to private account. This in turn causes fewer questions because it is your existing assets that you are transferring to Paraguay. The US LLC is possible, with Paraguay residency. Paraguay does not have laws that essentially make the LLC taxable in Paraguay by charging 10% tax on domestic income. But it is essential not to have clients from Paraguay. We assume that. Of course, if you have clients in Paraguay, you cannot use a foreign company to avoid taxes. This is domestic income that is taxed. But if we are based in Paraguay, have clients outside the country, and operate with a LLC, then we can continue to do this completely tax-free, even without having any substance in the LLC. And this doesn't just apply to US LLCs, it potentially applies to all other countries as well. And that's it. Another related topic is the extended limited tax liability. Here, for example, residency in Paraguay is very suitable because with this tax bonus in Paraguay we avoid the extended limited tax liability, or rather the legal consequences of the extended limited tax liability, while at the same time, not needing to have operations in Paraguay that would result in a 10% tax on domestic income. So Paraguay plus LLC is easy for the majority of our clients and perpetual travelers. You aren't in Paraguay for more than 4 months anyway. No problem either for those who live permanently in Paraguay. In many other countries it would actually be a problem, but in Paraguay at least it currently is not.